proper technique is no accident. It requires thought and attention. So, to remind myself not to twist, I am thinking nose between toes, use your legs. Nose between toes, use your legs. Nose between toes, use your...
Welcome to Exploit Central. I'm Catherine Mousseau. Well, this week we're going to sit down with Mayor Barry Manuel and learn a little bit about what's being done to promote Central Newfoundland around the world. And what they have done is created a video, and there will actually be a series of videos, and we're going to learn about that. But it did get me thinking as to how we can actually reach out to so many people these days. We're not restricted in any way by the media we use. For example, television may be in a certain market, but once you go to the internet, your market truly is the world. And when you see a town, such as our town, looking at avenues like that, it's exciting because actually we want to grow. And how do you take a rural community in central Newfoundland and tell the world about it? And hopefully through these types of campaigns that the town is doing, they're going to reach people far and wide who may want to consider moving here, possibly setting up a business here. It is somewhat about the lifestyle, and it's about what our town has to offer and the rich heritage that we have here. So I think you'll find it really interesting in the interview with Barry Manuel, and a little more on social media. I guess it's something that we all, most of us at least these days, are familiar with it, whether it be Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook. Perhaps some of the older demographic not using it so much, which is the reason why we're going to show you the video that did go onto Facebook. But if you're not using social media today, is it still possible to be as connected as you want to be in the world? And that's just kind of a question that I'm throwing out there. In some ways, I think perhaps not. I think social media is truly connecting the world completely, practically as a universe. So it's that kind of story, well, get on the bandwagon or the band's going to move on without you. But it's interesting to see how we are applying this in our lives today. And certainly if you're not on social media, something you might want to think about. Well, I hope you enjoy the show today, and we'll be right back with Mayor Barry Manuel.
I got your back, big guy. Join us in our mission to help protect backs at work.
Welcome back. Now joining me in the studio is Mayor Barry Manuel. Welcome to Exploit Central, Barry.
Thanks for having me.
It's good to see you again. And I wanted you here today because there are lots of exciting things happening for our town along the lines of marketing, and I wanted to talk to you a bit about that. I think many people have seen a great video, and we'll get to that. But what is happening? What has the town been doing?
Well, I guess there's a number of things. You know, the town recognizes that we need to be promoting ourselves to make sure that we show people that Grand Falls-Windsor is a good place to visit. It's also a great place to live. So, you know, the technology world these days has so many opportunities out there to be able to get your message out there, be able to show people what a great community we have and the sorts of things we're doing and the great people. So, you know, the main thing has been this video series that we've been doing. As you mentioned, there's one video been done, but we're always looking at ways to reach out to people, I guess. You know, we know there's all kinds of people across Canada, expats from Newfoundland, Labrador, who've worked their careers now, they're looking to move home, and are trying to choose that place where they're going to live, you know. And we've got young professionals as well that want to, healthcare professionals and others that are looking at where they want to move when they're coming to Newfoundland and Labrador, or where they'd like to visit. So by reaching out and trying to put Grand Falls-Windsor out there to show people what we have, obviously is a useful tool to try to achieve those goals.
Well, absolutely, and even speaking from personal experience, when we're trying to attract people to our office, that's one thing that we show people is the town website, and you know, we try to explain all the great things that are happening here. So I guess that's how this idea came up, to have videos on social media.
Yeah, it is. I mean, we've got a great community. We've got a lot of beautiful scenery here. I think sometimes we take it for granted, how beautiful the community is. You know, the Exploits River is one of the top rivers in North America, and certainly one of the most beautiful. And the scenery all year round, really. We've got the different seasons. This time of year now with the autumn leaves, and that is just beautiful. So we recognize we've got a lot of nice parks, green spaces, and we need to put that out there to show people, because the visual imagery is important, you know, and psychologically people get the good feeling when they see those nice shots. So we felt that videos were something that, you know, we see other places using, and other companies, corporations, to promote their products, services. In this case, we're promoting our community. So we went out in the spring of this year to RFP, request for proposals, to look for someone who would be interested in doing a town video. From that, we ended up with 7 bids, and we hired Upside Down Films, Roger Monder out of St. John's. And he's been working now, I'm going to say, for around 9 months or so. The idea was to have the video shot over the course of 12 months. So we're capturing all the seasons and all the different things that there are to do. So Roger has been coming back and forth quite often to Grand Falls-Windsor and spending time here and taking footage on the ground. He's been talking to people. He's got the drone, of course, these days is a useful tool when it comes to videos. And what comes out of that is that we now not only are going to have one video, but we decided, let's do a series of videos. And one video, of course, is done now, but it's all in an effort to promote our community and to show everybody the great things there are to do here and the great scenery that we have here as well.
Well, absolutely, and like you say, using all the different technology, the drones and so on, we can really capture a lot of things. And we've been hearing where Roger has been at many events and capturing footage there. So I'm sure people have been curious to know more about the whole concept. So it started with one video, and now it's going to be 3.
Yeah, we're looking at a couple of more, and I should say, I mean, Upside Down Films and Roger Monder has been awesome to work with. He really takes great pride in his work, you know. Obviously his work ethic is there. He's been spending so much time in Grand Falls-Windsor, and it shows, you know. And anybody who hasn't seen the first video, and I'm sure we'll see it now in a little while.
We're going to look at
but really, I mean, you look at the different events that we've been having, the Culinary Food Festival with the top chefs across Canada. We had the Blake Shelton concert here this year, our Salmon Festival, our Midwinter Biver, our Red Maple Festival. So there's all kinds of things year-round that we're focusing on to make sure that we're a place where people want to come in to visit, but also, you know, all these things are attractive to people who are choosing where they want to live, and for our residents, our longtime residents as well, giving people the opportunity to attend these social events, and especially the culinary events have been very popular. So it's a path that we're going to continue down for sure.
Well, absolutely. I think when people, I mean, people want experienced travel these days, but they also want an experience where they live. They seek events that they can do, and I mean, we are in a rural part of the province, so in some ways we have to make that effort. We have to step up and create. Yeah. It's not just going to happen.
Absolutely, and it's the big buzzword these days is placemaking, you know, and it's all about, as you said, having things for people to do. People want to be active these days, out on trails and walking and snowshoeing and skiing in the wintertime, snowmobiling, you know, salmon fishing and hunting in the summertime, the different recreational opportunities. So we've really focused in on the fact that we have to make sure we have events and programming that are going to cater to the community, a wide range of ages and abilities as well. And I think we've been doing a good job at that. At least that's the feedback we've been getting from the public. And certainly the sorts of events and programs that we're offering, there's been tremendous uptake. So it shows that the demand is there, people appreciate it, and certainly it's all about, you know, giving you a sense of pride and making sure that people stay active in the community is so important.
Well, I think that sense of pride is true, absolutely. I've always, myself, just a personal opinion, felt that if people have pride in their community, they treat it differently, they keep it cleaner, they make that little bit of extra effort to have pride, to actually just say, hey, this is where I live and I'm proud that I live here.
Yeah, and we've got such a rich history, you know. We've got a unique story here in Grand Falls, Windsor, and the region with the paper mill and the Harmsworth brothers, and the whole story of how this first industrial town in Newfoundland got going over 100 years ago is very interesting. And I should say, I mean, we're at a time in our history where there's still so much to do, you know. I think that we can continue to grow as a community despite some of the negativity around Newfoundland, Labrador these days. It's always glass half full when it comes to Grand Falls, Windsor, and we know we have opportunities to continue to grow our community. And you know, when it comes to our history, there's a story to be told here, and that's something too that we still have not fully tapped, that we need to get into in the future. You know, you mentioned experiences and that, especially from a visitation point of view. Tourists want experiential tourism. They want to come in, they want to feel what the place is or what it was, you know, and we can deliver that, I believe, in Grand Falls, Windsor. We need community champions who are going to come out and get in front of those things, but that's all part of the planning for the future, and you can only do so much at a time, and again, I think we're really on the right path.
Yeah, well, I think you are too. And for people who maybe haven't seen that first video, speaking of champions, I think the star of that video is a champion of our town, Gordon Pinsent. And why don't we have a look at that so they can have a better idea of what you've been working on.
Awesome.
Okay.
I remember this area. Every so often I would come by the white birches and I'd sneak a look through the trees and see this massive undertaking over here, this house, which is one of my favorite spots in all the world. It's just a wonderful, wonderful location. And of course, I wouldn't have been allowed on the grounds in those days. I wouldn't have been allowed in a lot of places at those days. But it's always been near and dear to me, this town.
Call for supper.
First of all, it's a return to a kind of people that, despite the growth in the town, there's the qualities and the virtues, the values of an earlier time are still deep within the people around. They've carried it with them. It's not as though something has just started tomorrow, you know, or today. It's been here, and with all the changes in the world and all the hunger that people have for new change, there's still that wonderful hold that it has on you when you say, oh yeah, you can't mistake that. That happened in such and such, you know. That's the way we felt, that's the way my parents felt. And you hold those relationships very, very, very close to you, and you'd never let them go because they assist you in everything you ever attempt to do from then on. And you realize that maybe the best thing you've ever achieved was to be who you were in that environment, and you were able to carry it with you.
Strange about being here. I'm very honored, and it means a great deal. So much more than you might imagine.
Certainly, I remember as a child the different buildings that are no longer here, the concerns, the company, the various things. But the streets are still pointing in the same direction, and I can still make my way around town. I enjoy it very much. It seems like yesterday, but of course it isn't. And very special to my memory.
This town is not just grand, it's great.
Everything about Grand Falls, Windsor, I felt great about. I loved everything. All of that was quite special.
Well, that's such a great video. I must say, and I heard so many comments, and I actually saw it being shared so much through my Facebook. That's how I first saw it. But that's amazing. Gordon has such a presence and a very busy man. How did you manage to get Gordon Pinsent to take this project on?
Well, there's a little bit of a backstory to it. I mean, first of all, the video itself is very powerful. You know, I had cold shivers, I got to be honest, first when I saw it, and I know that other people have mentioned to me that the feelings that it brought up for them. To hear Gordon Pinsent to reflect so positively and on his community, his home community, and his growing up here, and how he feels that special something is still here. It was just amazing to watch, and great to have Gordon a part of it. And council last year in our discussions around Salmon Festival in early spring decided we would invite Mr. Pinsent to be our honored guest at our annual salmon dinner. Wasn't sure how that was going to work out, so I had a contact with the Pinsent family, got the phone number, called them up, and had a chat with them, had several chats with them actually, which was a lot of fun in itself.
Excellent.
But at the same time, we were getting ready for our first annual Civic Awards, and we were just starting this video project, so I thought, you know, why not pitch it to him to see if he would be interested in helping us out with those as well. And when I asked him about the Civic Awards, he said yes, no problem. So we did that via video where he introduced the whole evening, and he took part in an award as well, the Arts Award. And then the video, he said absolutely, he'd love to be. If we can work it out, the logistics, he said he'd love to be involved. So I said, well, that's great. And we asked about the salmon dinner. He said, well, I'm not going to give you a yes on that yet. He said there's still a fair bit of time between now and then, but we'll see. So around June, he decided that yes, he would come down and be our honored guest. And so I guess you could say we scored a hat trick on Gordon, and it was
There you did.
it was just great to have him a part of it. You know, obviously a Canadian icon and one of Newfoundland and Labrador's most famous people ever, and just a real gentleman. You know, he was a pleasure to work with, and he and Roger did a lot of great work on that video, and we're real pleased with the result.
Well, he's a professional. I mean, he's a pro, and it certainly shows. But the nice thing about it is that he's from here, and he has the genuine feeling, and I think that's what comes through in the video, that it's felt from the heart.
Totally, it was, yeah. And it's the same. Anybody who was at the salmon dinner this year to hear him speak also got that kind of feeling from him. He talked about Grand Falls-Windsor and what a great place it is, and I believe his quote was, "It's not just grand, it's great," and how much it meant to him to be invited and to be here again. I mean, Gordon is not a young man anymore, but very recognizable. So back to the whole promotional marketing piece, to have Gordon, who's such a recognized actor around Canada and around the world, I guess, to be featured in our video really adds a lot of strength to the promotional value, that's for sure. Of
course, and very, very, very good of him to do it. A big thank you to him.
Yeah,
again.
absolutely.
A big thank
it's fantastic.
You to him. Yeah. So now that's been done, and you're moving forward on other videos. When do you expect to see some of those coming out?
Well, I would say soon. You know, we've got a couple more we want to do, and there's so much to see in Grand Falls-Windsor, and I mentioned all the beauty in that, so we're really focused in on the river, the expanse of land and water, the parks and green spaces, and the activities that are happening here. You know, I mentioned earlier a number of events, so all of those will be covered, and I would suspect in the next few months we'll see a second video, and then in a few months following, then a third video as well. So we look forward to those, and there's no doubt that Roger set the bar pretty high with that first video with Roger, or with Gordon rather, so we look forward to more of the same.
So are you tracking the reach of the videos? You know, a big part of social media and people, the buzzwords, you know, we're tracking it, and we got these many hits and so on. Have you had any feedback such as that?
Yeah, well, you can track the views, I guess, on the video. I'm not sure where we are now with that, but somewhere around 100,000 for sure views. I think we had 60 or 70,000 in the first few days after the video was released, and of course, once it's up there, it's available forever, so that will continue to grow. And it's a video we can utilize ourselves to put out there, you know, excerpts or any other promotional activities we have. That video is now at our disposal to be able to utilize to our advantage.
Well, you know, that's a lot of hits.
Absolutely,
I mean,
yeah.
That's more reach than any ad's gonna ever give you. You know,
that's true.
It has that kind of.
It's a lot of value.
A lot of value, and it's a type of approach to marketing that's a little softer than the blatant you know, we purchased this spot here or there. It's just something that people can take pride in and share, which is really cool.
It is.
It's super that the town's doing these kind of things. I've noticed even over the past few years, the town just has taken on a lot of beautification projects. It looks very good. Has this been part of the whole scheme as well?
For sure. I mean, we want a clean, presentable community. We want a community that looks good, you know. Psychologically, that means a lot to people. And we've been putting a lot of effort into programming that will keep the community clean. We do the annual spring cleanup in the spring months, obviously. And what we've done is kind of try to accomplish a couple things. We had the community groups in town, offered them the opportunity to take a grid square in town, go clean it up, and we would provide them with a grant. So we budgeted some money to do a community cleanup, but we're providing these community groups with some funding through their efforts, and that's been successful in the last few years as well. But really, I mean, we want our community to be beautiful, you know. It means a lot when you can show people that you're all about keeping your community clean, that you have all these green spaces, flowers and such, and our staff does a great job as well.
They
I should add,
yeah.
you know, in maintaining all this infrastructure, because it's a lot of work, you know. And the dry summer we had this year, just keeping the flowers watered was a challenge, and making sure that you didn't lose them, you know. But it's very important.
You're absolutely right. There's a lot of work behind anything that looks like that. And speaking of work, we're seeing some work down by the ski trail. What's happening down there?
Well, a lot of work actually on the ski trail. The ski membership has gone from like 20-something 4 years ago to 450-some now. So we recognize that there is a market in the community for cross-country skiing and snowshoeing. We've got a new trail that's been cut down there for snowshoeing. It's also a mountain biking trail in the other season. Skiing, quite popular. In the wintertime, it gets dark quite early. So we're going to be putting lights on the first portion of the trail. A couple of kilometers of trail will be lit, which would afford the opportunity for people to get down there in the evenings and ski, which should increase the membership even more. And there's a new ski chalet building going up there as well. The old building down there, if anybody's been there, it's an old woods camp building that has served its purpose, I guess, but really they've outgrown it, and now a new building will, you know, open up new opportunities for the ski trail, and certainly we expect the usage of the trail to go up, which is important.
Well, I mean, we do know that it has grown. It's been very popular. People want to be out in the winter. And that was a resource that, you know, it really wasn't taken to all its full potential. So it's great to see that happening.
Yeah, it's kind of like you get down there, and anybody who hasn't been down there, you're missing out, because it's a beautiful trail, and it's one of those hidden gems in the community, you know. But now with over 450 members, and with the lights in the building, we expect that to grow. The secret is going to be not so well kept.
No, that's good. And it's right there. I mean, there's no distance. It's just right on your doorstep.
Right on the river.
Yeah. And how about the Culinary Fest you had this summer? That was a real hit, and you've got that beautiful new building up there as well on Corduroy Brook Trail. Tell us a little about that.
Well, I mean, the Culinary Festival itself was a huge hit. We put the tickets on sale months before the event, and they sold out in a few days. I think we had 650 people at the Joe Byrne Arena for what was a fantastic culinary event. Anytime you can bring in the top chefs from across Canada and Newfoundland and Labrador and celebrate Newfoundland food was a great thing to have, and the chefs had a great time. They're ready to come back again next year. We're ready to host our second annual culinary event in August of 2018, and we look forward to that. The Corduroy Brook building, just a fantastic, beautiful building, you know, and it's a building that will see tremendous use in the future when it comes to the community. You know, there'll be all kinds of different groups that'll use the building, the schools, the community youth groups. People will host their meetings there, seminars, and of course the usage of the trail system will improve as well, we expect, and tourism, you know, is another piece to what we offer here in Grand Falls-Windsor, and something that will be a big value in the future.
Yeah, well, it seems like steps all in the right direction to keep our community active and to encourage people to move here. And how has that been going? Have you noticed any changes in demographics? Is it going in the right direction?
Yeah, well, we're obviously one of the larger centers outside the Avalon and Newfoundland and Labrador. The last two census have shown an increase in population in Grand Falls-Windsor, so, you know, we're in the minority when it comes to that in itself. We expect that trend to continue. You know, more and more people are looking to move in from other areas of the province. They want to be close to the hospital, the amenities. We know that young families want to be in the community, which offers so much programming for kids and for family-oriented activities. So we have seen increases in the last 2 census. We expect that to continue, and hopefully these marketing activities that we've been doing with the videos and such would only help improve that trend.
Well, I'm sure it will, and thank you so much for taking the time from your busy schedule to come in and bring us up to date on some of these great marketing things for our town. And I think we can all be ambassadors of our town. We've got great videos to share coming up, one now and many more, so we can all be ambassadors. And it's something that we should take on with a great deal of pride. Thank you so much.
Thank
it was
you.
a pleasure to
My
have
pleasure,
you.
and thanks for the opportunity.
Great. Well, we're going to take a short break right now, and we'll be right back. Please join us.
Check it out. My boss and I totally reorganized my workstation, so now everything is within reach, and my back feels like a purring tiger.
Well, thank you for joining us this week on Exploit Central. It's always a pleasure to bring you information on what's happening right here in Central Newfoundland. Please enjoy the week, and we look forward to seeing you right here next week on your community channel.